The Javalambre climb is explosive, steep, and long, a decider in the 2023 Vuelta España. On site, up here at 1,950 meters. The observatory right over my shoulder, and off to the right, the finish line of stage 6, where Team Jumbo-Visma reigned. American Sepp Kuss won the stage, and in the group behind, Primoz Roglic and his teammate Jonas Vingegaard put in time on previous race leader Remco Evenepoel. Remco Evenepoel slipped out of the red jersey today. We had a lot of racing to get here deep into the region of Aragon, 183 kilometers, and there were multiple attacks early on, all throughout the early stages of today. But nothing was quite sticking, and there was tension. A lot of crashes. We saw riders like Lorenzo Milesi, Jay Vine getting involved in crashes. Both of those riders, you'll remember Milesi, who had the red jersey at the end of day 1 in Barcelona. They abandoned the race, as too did Remco Evenepoel's Soudal Quick-Step teammate, Italian Andrea Bajoli. He abandoned sick, and that was perhaps a sign, something we need to keep on, because there were rumors that there is a sickness going around Team Soudal Quick-Step. Remco this morning, when I spoke with him at the mix zone at the start line, he said he's okay, and he's hoping there's no repeat of the Giro d'Italia. Early on, in fact, before the TV came on, we were getting reports that Remco wasn't with the lead group. And then we saw that attack, a huge escape formed, 42 riders, around about 118 kilometers left to race. 42 riders, such a large amount, and we were still unsure where Remco Evenepoel was. Up in the group of 42 riders, race leader, red jersey, Remco Evenepoel, he had 2 satellite riders, Varveke and Catania. Jumbo-Visma, they had Sepp Kuss, of course, Dylan van Baarle, Jan Tratnik, and Attila Valter, the Hungarian champion. Those guys would work extremely hard and well for Sepp Kuss in that eventual stage win. Other teams, Movistar, they had Lascano in the move. They also had Rubiero. UAE Team Emirates, well, they had Marc Soler up front in this group of 42 riders. And also keep an eye out for the Frenchman, Lenny Martinez, because at the end of the day, he would take the race leader's red jersey. At the start of the stage, I think he was sitting around 3rd overall behind Remco Evenepoel and Rick Mas. And then there was Lenny Martinez. We don't know much about him. His dad was a mountain bike racer. He's young, 20 years of racing. In his first full year with Group AMA FDJ, well, today he was going to make a name for himself right into that red jersey. This group of 42, it needed to be under control. It was the job of Ineos. They were setting the pace for Geraint Thomas, for perhaps others like Egan Bernal. They were riding the pace back behind. Then it was Soudal Quick-Step. Remco Evenepoel, as the cameras came on, we saw him up there with the main peloton group. So apparently he was okay, because at some point it's Jan Hurt, putting everybody in the Hurt locker. The whole Soudal Quick-Step boys really setting a strong pace over a rocky and rolly terrain. This terrain is an amazing place, one of the most desolate places in all of Spain, but a beautiful natural environment and a splendid place to have a bike race. Coming into this final climb, I said it was steep, I said it was nasty, 10.9 kilometers long, sections of 15%, 16%, up here at the top near the finish line, 15%. Some of the worst parts were down there below. And then in fact, somewhere in the climb, we had some bits that were seemingly downhill, a chance for the riders to perhaps rest their legs, but there was no resting for the wicked out there. And by wicked, of course, today, I'm talking about the boys up front with Sepp Kuss, those guys who were going for the stage victory today, because it looked like with 4 minutes in hand at the base of the climb, around about 10 kilometers to remaining to get up here to the top of the observatory where Sepp Kuss raced in 2019, raced for the team leader at the time, Primoz Roglic. He knew the climb well when we were back here back in 2019. Well, today he was going to make use of that experience that he has and the experience of winning a stage in 2019 later on in that race and a stage in the Tour de France to try to add another stage to his palmarès. The guy who's always working for the team leaders, Jonas Vingegaard and Primoz Roglic. Well, it's going to be a complicated situation. We saw a few different attacks going out of that group. Rubiero launched an attack, I think around 4 kilometers to go. That came back. Lenny Martinez took his turn. He was out for stage win, but also keeping an eye on the red jersey. Starting the day around 17 seconds back, then there was Soler, and then there was Sepp Kuss around about 55 seconds back at the start of the day. So even Sepp Kuss and Soler had a chance to get the red jersey. Martinez, Romain Bardet, they shot out. Then we saw Sepp Kuss, the American Flying Eagle, rocket out, bridge up to them, and soon he was solo. And it was a good omen for Jumbo-Visma, because back in the group, Primoz Roglic, three-time winner of the Vuelta España, he attacks. His first real attack in the mountains, I think, for 2023. He attacks 3 kilometers out, rockets up the road. Jonas Vingegaard, two-time winner of the Tour de France, winner this year in July. He marks the riders back behind, playing smart teammate work. He marks Ayuso, he marks Enric Mas. Ayuso riding for UAE Team Emirates, Mas riding for Movistar, and up front, well, Roglic was gaining time. Eventually, Roglic was easing off a bit, perhaps couldn't sustain his attack. Vingegaard bridges up. He bridges up with Enric Mas. Ayuso is losing time, but more importantly, they dropped a Remco Evenepoel, the race leader and defending champion of the 2022 Vuelta España, coming in here to this year's edition to try to add a second Grand Tour to his palmarès. Remco's on the ropes. Perhaps, in fact, he was sick and he was giving us a little bit of a white lie at the start of today's stage. Remco Evenepoel on the rope. He had a Jan Hurt pacing him up back behind. Well, in fact, Remco Evenepoel, he seemed to be pacing himself quite well. The Jumbo boys up front, they were riding steady. Further up the road, it was Sepp Kuss coming to the finish line, riding hard, high-fiving with the fans before getting to the line. I don't think those high fives cost him the red jersey. He would get the stage win, but he wouldn't get the red jersey. The red jersey would go over to Lenny Martinez, but as Sepp Kuss, he said he didn't care about the red jersey when I was speaking to him over there. He wanted a shot for another stage win. And back behind, well, it's Primoz Roglic, Vingegaard, digging deep, trying to put more time, bury Remco Evenepoel, put Remco Evenepoel in the gas chamber before the summit, the observatory up here at Javalambre, and to have a shot of trying to win the 2023 Vuelta España. When they got up here to the top, they put 32 seconds into Remco, but Remco showed a lot of experience gained from 2022. He rode within himself, didn't lose all that much time when all things are considered. Remco, in fact, still leads the virtual classification of men who could possibly win the 2023 Vuelta España, setting 9th overall. He's now 2 minutes, 47 seconds back from Lenny Martinez, but that gap doesn't matter. It's the gap back to the other contenders for this year's edition of the Vuelta. It's Enric Mas at 2:50, 3 seconds back from Remco. Jonas Vingegaard 2:52, and Primoz Roglic 2:58. Now 11 seconds within reach of Remco, as we have a sprint stage tomorrow and then another mountain, more mountains to come, because this was only the second of 10 summit finishes in the 2023 Vuelta España. Explosions, tension, and a change in direction. We're only 6 days into the Spanish Grand Tour, but after the Jumbo-Visma offensive today, the footing of the boss, the CEO, Remco Evenepoel, seems less secure in the 2023 Vuelta España.